Jackson rolling through the SWAT. Reppin' for the city, hear him in the parking lot. Houston written across the jersey, ain't gon' never stop. Just fans got me tuning in, waiting for the drop. Astros, Texas, Rockets, Dynamo, they coming with it. When they pull up, got the city sitting on a fitted. Straight up A-Leaf, hold it down, ain't gon' never quit it. Just fans got me tuning in, let my dogs get it. Southwest A-Leaf, Texas, throw down here and it's so infectious. We ride for the Houston Astros, Rockets, Dynamo, and them Texans.
How's it going, everybody? It's Carlos, your host of the Just Fans Podcast, and we are here on a Monday. And if you're in the Houston area, I hope that you guys are safe after going through Hurricane Beryl that landed here in Houston as a Category 1 hurricane. But aside from that, we hope that you are doing well. I'm joined here like I am every Monday night with Rios. How's it going, Rios?
I'm alive. Was looking kind of scary for a few hours, but we made it.
There you go. There you go. And, of course, we got Poppy in the house today. How's it going, Poppy?
What's up, brother? Finally got power about an hour and a half ago, so we're doing good, man. We're doing better.
There you go. There you go. And, of course, today we got the man with the beautiful locks looking over here like Simba off the Lion King. We got the one and only Dallas Clark off of the Huddle Chat podcast, Colts Podcast. Dallas, tell us how you're doing, man.
Oh, man, I'm doing absolutely fantastic. I'm glad you guys are all safe. All the fellow Houstonians out there are all safe from what I hear. So I'm glad to hear everything, man. I'm glad to be here for sure, and I just can't wait to be king for sure, man.
There you go. Hey, man, it's great to have you back. It's been a minute. I think the last time I don't know if this is the first time on the Just Fans one, but I know that we all used to do the AFC pot. The AFC.
Yeah, I think this
South.
might be my first time on Just Fans. I've definitely done the AFC South though with you guys, man.
Yeah, no, those were always fun.
Good old days. The good old days,
yeah.
man.
Good old days, yeah. Yo, what's up, Daniel? How's it going, guys? What's up?
Yo.
What up? Hey, man. So I don't know about you, but I'm excited for this football season. I just can't wait already. We're at that moment where like all you're doing is hearing speculation off of Twitter, off of whatever, and you're seeing these highlights. And the more you see these highlights, the more hyped up you get for the football, for the NFL season. How are you feeling right now as a Colts fan? This upcoming season.
Oh, man, as a Colts fan, and I'm sure you guys, pretty much anybody in the AFC South can attest to it. I'm excited, but I'm also frustrated because I'm not hearing any news unless I'm going out and scavenging for it myself and finding it on the depths of the internet because, I'm not hearing nothing about on ESPN. There's, like you said, it's a real boring time of the year as far as news goes and everything right now. So kind of just waiting and looking, like you said, looking at every piece of information you get on Twitter, every highlight of Anthony Richardson throwing a pass that I can see, man. I'm looking for everything I can for sure. I cannot wait.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's that time where it's like, what do we?
It's nothing.
What are we
going
doing?
on, man.
Yeah, Instagram stories and cryptic tweets. I'm like,
Exactly.
Yeah. Look at tweets. Cryptic tweets. Like, was it Brendan Ayuk from the 49ers put the Commanders like play or something like that not long ago? Like so. Stirring up that speculation. But I get it because it's like you're trying to get that contract, right? You're trying to get the contract. You're kind of playing a little bit of mind games with your team and everything to see if you can get something. But I don't know, man. I know this is not related with our teams, but regardless, it's that time again where you just look at cryptic tweets and like, okay, what's happening now? It's more like rumor. You're basically going off of rumors right now.
Yeah, and
exactly.
Like you see all these podcasts, all these football players going on podcasts, and just talking about the next season or stuff like that. And it's just like, why can't it just be here already?
Yeah,
like I need some football right now. Like you got the NBA doing like summer league or whatever,
right?
Yeah. Like in the finals, it feel like it just ended. They're already like doing stuff, and we're like, where can we see some football, man?
Yeah, all you're doing is like, I don't know about you guys, but I go whenever I doing nothing is just go on YouTube and watch old highlights of your team, like the top 10 highlights of the Texans or top 10 highlights
it's
of
like
whatever.
CJ Stroud rookie highlights and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's all
you're getting those hype videos, those internet sleuth hype videos. You're like, oh yeah, that's a badass song. You just watch a whole music video, like, oh man, I can't wait.
Exactly. So that's where we're at right now, man. That's that little place between like after the draft, after OTAs, but before training camp. Like there is nothing. It's for a good like solid month. There's almost like nothing to do. So that's where we're at now. But hey, So since you are our Colts expert, as we want to call him, let's talk about our team. So tonight, our focus is going to be talking about the strengths on both sides of the ball for both our teams, our weaknesses or areas of concern, and of course, where do we see our teams being stacked in the AFC South division, and of course, we have to talk trash about the Jaguars and the Titans.
Oh, of course,
it's a must. It's a must. So
fuck Tennessee, fuck Jacksonville.
So, without any further ado, all right. I want to ask you a question real quick, Dallas. Anthony Richardson. Okay. Yeah. Last season was cut short due to injury. I want to hear from a Colts fan's perspective. What are your thoughts so far first on Anthony Richardson? Does he elevate your team right now, or what's going on?
I think Anthony Richardson, of course, can only elevate our team. We had steady play from Gardner Minshew, but nothing at all what we were expecting. The life of a Colts fan was really exciting for that first 4 weeks, just seeing what we could be. And I mean, having gone through what we've gone through since the exit of Andrew Luck earlier than we all expected, Colts fans have been kind of wishing for a playmaker in one way or another when it comes to the quarterback position. And Anthony Richardson definitely showed that. Of course, we all hope, as at least on the Colts side of things, we're all hoping he stays healthy. But I'm hoping that this running injury has kind of forced him to adjust and improve on his accuracy, improve on his actual quarterback play, because we don't need him. We have Jonathan Taylor. We don't need Anthony Richardson to bang off 100 yards a game. I mean, we could be cool with just like a Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson type player, give us 35, 40 rushing yards a game, the occasional breakaway run, some great touchdowns, but having a quarterback back there, somebody that can lead the team and that we can be confident with. I mean, at least we're going 2 years in a row with the same starting quarterback in week one for the first time in almost a decade. So we have to have some comfort in that. But I definitely think Anthony Richardson definitely elevates the Indianapolis Colts, whether you're talking about entertainment-wise or just straight play on the field when you see Anthony Richardson out there.
Let me ask you something, because we didn't get a chance to talk about with you about the draft. So how do you feel about the Colts draft night and going into next season? Like, anything that stands out to you?
I think the Colts did pretty well with what they did. Of course, we all would have liked. I personally would have liked to see them attack the secondary a little bit earlier, especially with how many good cornerbacks, especially we had in this draft. But it seems like the Colts are kind of trusting the process and trusting some of those young players to kind of develop this season. But we're getting the addition of Adonai Mitchell at the wide receiver position. We did fill the holes that we do have. I'm really excited because we kind of made a really big adjustment on both sides of the ball. We now have kind of completed our wide receiver core, which has been one of our issues for the past few years. And then we added the pass rusher as well. We added some great depth on the defensive side of the ball as well. So I'm pretty excited to see what the Colts have, hoping we just stay injury-free, but at least I liked what the Colts are doing as far as the depth pieces. It seems like we have a lot of plug-and-play players. The loss of one player here or there is not going to be the make and break of our season, which is kind of the goal.
Any game changers coming out of the draft that
I definitely like Adonai Mitchell. I first picked at wide receiver. I think you put him next to Michael Pittman Jr. You put him next to Josh Downs, who we all already saw last year. And then if we can figure out our tight end position, whether we go Jelani Woods, whatever we do with that. I mean, if you look at the Indianapolis Colts, especially on offense, I mean, off the bus, we're one of the biggest teams, and it really helps. We have one of the biggest size-wise wide receiver cores. So I definitely think that's going to bode well. And Adonai Mitchell kind of fits in both. He's going to be able to take pressure off of Michael Pittman Jr. on them short routes, and he's also going to be able to help Josh Downs bust it open downfield as well. So I definitely think Adonai is going to be our biggest game changer on both sides of the ball for us here this year.
So any dark horses in your Colts that you're looking forward to, somebody that may seem a little underrated, that you feel like, oh, this guy's going to be a playmaker here? Who would that be?
Are we talking about in the draft or just in general?
Sorry, just your team in general.
Just in general, I'm really excited about Juju Brents. We saw him come out last year and make some really big splashes in our secondary, out in our cornerback position. Kenny Moore is one of the best nickel cornerbacks in the league at the current moment. Hopefully he retains that title this year. But the Colts have been kind of known outside of Kenny Moore. If you can avoid that, if you can avoid your slot wide receiver, the Colts can kind of just get eaten alive. And Juju Brents really came out last year. We had a lot of injuries in the secondary. We had Dallas Flowers go down, who we're excited to get back this year as well. But I'm really excited to see Juju Brents in his second year. Being able to adapt with some of those great players around him. I think he's going to be one of those young players that nobody's really talking about with the Colts that as far as after the draft, nobody's really mentioning the players that we had and developed last season. But I think Juju Brents is definitely going to be a name that we're going to start talking about here in the AFC South at least.
Okay. All right.
Hey, so now that some time has passed, how would you grade the Colts season last year?
The Colts season last year, I feel like with what we were given, you can't be upset with it. I mean, of course, we didn't get the end goal that we wanted, being as close to the playoffs as we want to do. But when you look at Anthony Richardson going down, week 4 or 5, how early it was in the season and not being able to come back, people would have thought the Colts were probably going to just look like the Jets were last year. To be able to salvage that and barely miss, I mean, based on that failed 4th down attempt 1 minute left in that last game. We were that close to the playoffs last year. So for the Colts to go through so many injuries, with the Jonathan Taylor drama last year, just so many issues the Colts went through, for them to come out as decently as they did. I mean, you can only build on something like that. So I really like it. I'd probably grade it if I had to give it a letter grade. I'd probably give it, I'd say a B-. You know what I'm saying? It's not something you want to be happy with. You're not going to go home and have your mom put on the fridge. I mean, but, I'm still going to be able to have an enjoyable summer vacation and have something to work on.
I don't know. I'm pretty happy with that B-. Yeah. Good job. You're not as stupid as you look.
What are the feelings towards Jonathan Taylor next year? Like we had our little top 10 running back rankings a couple of weeks ago, and I had him pretty high up there because I feel like this season he's gonna really come back with a vengeance type mentality. So I want to hear from a Colts fan. Like, what are we thinking over there?
I'm really excited about Jonathan Taylor. You looked at the injury and then the contract drama that Jonathan Taylor's had over the last 2 seasons. And then when he came back last year, Zach Moss was doing so well. We had to give Zach Moss some time. And for at least the majority of those, what was it, 14 games or 13 games Jonathan Taylor played last season, for the majority of those, they were splitting almost 50-50 carries, and Zach Moss was eating a lot of Jonathan Taylor's production. And he's not one of those running backs that you can kind of just give 10 carries. He needs that 15, 20 carries a game. He needs that momentum and to wear the defense down. So we lost Zach Moss in the offseason. We don't have like a backup running back that I think is going to be taking carries from JT like that. You're looking at him another year healthy from that injury. He had no setbacks last year. He's now got the contract he's taken care of. There should be no off the field drama. So I think JT can get back to business and be the Jonathan Taylor that we've all known, 2-3 years ago.
All right, that's a good explanation.
If you can get the Jonathan Taylor from 3 years ago, you're gonna be just fine.
Oh, exactly, man. That's exactly what we're hoping for, and especially now. I think, of course, it's gonna diminish his production a little bit with Anthony Richardson potentially stealing some carries, but I don't think Anthony Richardson is going to be stealing that many carries that it's going to take Jonathan Taylor from a top 10 running back to a top 20 running back. I think Jonathan Taylor is definitely in the right position this year. Everything is boding well for the Colts to be at least a successful team on the offensive side of the ball. And JT wants to be a part of that. I'm really excited. We're looking at JT. I think he needs like 900 yards this season to go from 7th to 2nd in Indianapolis Colts all-time rushing yards. So I'm definitely going on my FanDuel and betting the over on that 950 rushing yards for JT this year.
No, I gotta. I don't know. I gotta see it first.
Rios, you got something, or you want me to?
No, you go ahead.
So as a Colts fan, almost like an outsider looking in, how do you see the Houston Texans this year in your perspective? How do you see us?
I see the Texans, of course, just like anybody. You look at that roster of the Texans. I mean, you look at what the Texans did last year. You got to give them their flowers. Then they only got better by adding one of the best available wide receivers in Stephon Diggs, adding Joe Mixon. You already thought they had a pretty terrifying run game and a pretty terrifying wide receiver core. Well, they made it better this offseason. I mean, some people might talk about the sophomore slump, but I mean, who really cares when you have a team that's good around them? What's making me nervous about the Houston Texans is last year, you guys know, nobody was expecting the Texans to be nearly as good. And just like the Colts, I've been there many times when they aren't talking about us in the preseason, we have great seasons. In those years where they're talking about the Indianapolis Colts are the team to beat in the AFC, those are the years that, of course, we underperform. So I'm just feeling like they're hyping the Texans up right now. But with what you saw last year, it's not unwarranted hype. I just feel like the pressure is going to be so much more significant for CJ and the rest of the Houston Texans this year than every game was for last year, because every game they were playing with house money last year. Nobody expected the Texans to be that good. Every win was gravy on top of it. But this year, everybody's expecting 14 from the Texans in the win column. So anything short, people are going to start talking about failure. But I think the Texans are definitely the team to beat in our division.
I'll be more than happy with 10 wins, 10, 11 wins. I'll be more than happy with that.
Yeah, 14.
If we get 14, I'm betting. I'm putting money on the Super Bowl. If we get 14, I'm putting money on that.
I'm getting a second mortgage on my house. I'm going to be in New Orleans.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's there is a lot of eyes on the Texans now. I mean, point blank last season, the Texans had absolutely no primetime games whatsoever, unless you want to count the Texans Colts game, really.
Yeah.
At the end, but there is going to be more attention, as you could see CJ Stroud going on podcasts, and then in a way talking mad trash or whatever. But in my opinion, see, CJ Stroud is a smart guy. He's a smart individual. The confidence that he has, I understand. So I think they're confident, but I think he's aware of, the pressure that's come, that's on his shoulders, because it's one of those things. I don't know. To me, this is just my opinion, obviously, I don't think he would be doing that without feeling a sense of confidence behind him,
Oh, definitely.
Because if not, then specifically you're going out looking stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
he came into the league with that kind of like swag and like kind of confidence,
mentality.
Mentality, and like as the team was getting wins on the field. Even some of the losses were like one possession losses. You could see it like, oh, this guy's like not only coming in with that confidence, he's vocalizing it to everybody. He was basically a leader on the field and off the field. So I feel like, the sophomore slump or whatever, everybody's thinking that. I'm thinking that a little bit. Like, I don't think, kind of like you said, like last year, there were no expectations at all. This year, pretty much all the expectations are on that the Texans are going to have to win the division, which I'm pretty sure they will. But it's going to be those things where, like, it's not just him, right?
Yeah.
It's the whole team.
Exactly.
A bunch of the rookies that are just coming in, people like Damian Pierce, who I'm hoping they can get it together this year. Stephon Diggs with this basically like a prove it type of year, like earn that money type of year. So like the pressure is on like pretty much everybody. So everybody has to bring their A game this year.
Well, see, and I can understand that confidence as well. And like you said, Bobby, it's not just CJ. To be honest with you, as a person that's paid extreme attention to the AFC South for a very long time, I'd say for at least the last decade, this Houston Texans team has to be the most complete team that the AFC South has seen in a long time, from the Blake Bortles and Leonard Fournette Jaguars to, the first year of Andrew Luck's careers. I mean, from all of the flashes in the pan that we've seen over the past decade and the dominance that we've seen in these few teams, I think that this Houston Texans team is definitely the most scary one. It's the most complete team when you're looking at that wide receiver core, the coaching staff, and they're all young right now too, which is even crazier.
Yeah, when you look at I think our biggest strength right now is that wide receiver core. Of course, CJ Stroud, right? But after CJ Stroud, that wide receiving core, you got, sorry guys, I'm going to sound like a broken record on this one. You have Tank Dell, who before the injury, he was on his way to surpassing the 1,000 yards. You had, as a rookie, you had Nico Collins, who was 3 yards short of 1,300 yards. That's two receivers that could have potentially gone to that could have gone to 1,000, more than 1,000 yards. Then you had I'd say the other receiver would have been Noah Brown that past season after Tank and Nico, who had, I think, a little bit over 500 yards, if I'm not mistaken. I can't think of the accurate number right now.
It was more than 500, and then you have Schultz as well, who was
and then you had Dalton Schultz as well added to the mix. And that was just last season with Devin Singletary taking the load as RB1 over Dameon Pierce. That alone, which and I can remember last season, I think Rios and I talked about it in our other show that we have, how it was how when the season started, this group of wide receivers was very underrated. Nobody knew what they were going to bring to the table, and then by the news media,
couldn't be a wide receiver one. I said it. I said I said Nico Collins cannot be a wide receiver one.
Yeah,
he could be a very good number two, but he could never be wide receiver one. And after Tank Dell went down with injury, Nico Collins was one of the most consistent wide receivers in the league.
He picked the ball and ran with it. No pun intended.
Definitely.
Ridiculously.
Oh, when the year started, they were ranked number 32 out of 32 teams on every list as far as receiver cores.
Right.
Yeah.
And Stroud was going to be a bust, so they're going to win 2 games. They were foolish to trade. They were draft picking for the Cleveland, blah blah blah, and we saw how that turned out.
Yeah, and so I think that's the biggest strength in the Texans. And then now you have all those guys coming back for a year. Tank Dell for year 2, Nico year 4, right? On this one,
I believe so.
With year 4 with the contract extension, and then
which worries me a little bit.
And then we'll talk about that. And then you have Stephon Diggs, a Pro Bowler, thrown into the mix, who I felt the Texans did a great job with the whole contract situation with him, almost like a tryout year for Stephon Diggs, with all the whatever he comes along with, all the stuff he comes along with. It's like, listen, the Texans just established a culture here with D'Amico, CJ, all this core group of guys. Whatever's going on, that's not going to work here. And not only that, but you have like a year tryout. You want to get paid, the Texans can do that. And this is where you're going to show off, because they know all the attention that the Texans are going to get as well. This is the best place to show it off at, right? And it's not like you're getting a bum quarterback or anything. You're getting CJ Stroud. You're getting a person who can make you better, and so you have that, and then throw into the mix Joe Mixon, like you said. And how do you call it? And the Texans drafted another tight end named Kate Stover, who is familiar with CJ Stroud from Ohio State. So now CJ really all he has to do is boom, boom, boom. Somebody's got to be open.
Just throw the ball. He's gonna
Somebody's gonna be open no matter what. I can't see. I really can't see anybody covering all three of our wide receivers.
It's impossible.
And it's impossible. And then how do you call it? Our tight ends, our dual threat of tight ends, and Joe Mixon, who can catch off the backfield. It's somebody's going to be open for CJ.
You normally don't see a team that was already as good as the Texans were last year get vastly better, like the Texans did in the offseason through the draft, through the free agency list. The Texans, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody that wasn't a Texans fan, less like I was looking on the phone like, what the hell? How are they doing this? Like, how do they get Stephon and Joe Mixon? They already got Nico. They already got Tank. It's crazy what y'all did down there, man. Congrats for sure. Y'all had an A+ offseason.
No, I appreciate it. But yeah, that's what I think.
Like this.
What was that?
We used to pray for times like this.
Yeah.
We all know what that's like.
But you Dallas, you brought up a comparison that this was the most stacked team in the last decade. You're 100% correct. And I remember the 2019 season. I know that Rios doesn't want to talk about that one because of the way it ended with the Chiefs. But
we would have won.
We
would have won the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah. So that team was at the time was pretty stacked. But comparing it to now, every single position is an upgrade over that team without JJ Watt. And that's our expectation now for Will Anderson. How
he comes back out of retirement though.
Dude, they just added apparently the Texans just signed back Terry Hughes again today.
Oh, saw that.
He's 85, but whatever. They still signed him back, but he got 3 sacks last season.
They found him at Luby's. Hey, man, you want to come play?
We got a roster spot. You want to?
You got any biofreeze? Yeah, exactly. So that's where it's at. So if they sign Terry Hughes, though, I'm sure JJ might give it a little
question,
shot.
Man. It's not out the question.
You seen his workout? Like he posted a thing on him working out recently. I was like, what? He looks jacked.
I mean, he's always been jacked. He's always been like a refrigerator, a human refrigerator.
Yeah. No, but he still looks like he can set. He still looks like he can, put on the pads and go for a few, like another season or something.
He could definitely.
Yeah, double-digit sacks this last year with the Cardinals.
Not
out of the realm of possibility.
And even that season he had with the Cardinals wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad that he had. It was like a regular. It just looked like a regular lineman, really. Yeah. But yeah, that's where it's at. What about on the defensive side of the ball, Dallas? Well, how do you? What are your strengths there? What is something that you're looking forward to on the defensive side of the ball?
Definitely this year was going to be our edge rushers. As far as our defense goes, I feel like our defense. It kind of sucks as a Colts fan right now because for the last 4 or 5 years the defense has been our strength. From our defensive line, really all we needed help was our edge rushing and getting to the quarterback. But now we have a lot of questions in our cornerbacks and in our linebackers, specifically in places where we've been strong a lot in the past. But the edge rushers, the position that we've been trying to answer the question for, at least for Colts fans, for the last at least 7 years. We have some really good sparks in there. We have the kid we drafted this year, Laitu Latu. You got Tyquan Lewis coming back. Right now, I think we have Samson Ebukam and Kwity Paye in there. But we have a good rotation at our pass rusher. I think this year we find our pass rushers and we get to the quarterback more than we ever have this year, which is going to be big because we do have Zaire Franklin at linebacker. But I mean, Cameron McGrone right now is our second outside linebacker, our right outside linebacker. So our linebacker, I think, is definitely our weakest spot in the Indianapolis Colts right now, which I would love if the Colts could go back down and get my boy Darius Leonard, the maniac, and just bring him on home. I don't know why we don't. We need the help, but I mean that's a conversation for another day, I guess. But definitely our defensive line. I'm hoping to see some flashes of those early 2000s Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis type Indianapolis Colts games, like you guys were talking about having J.J. Watt down there on the line. I'm hoping to see the Colts get after the quarterback because that's not something we've really seen from the Colts for a really long time.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I recall really seeing much of that, even with the quarterbacks that we had in previous seasons. Like I don't remember like having you like, oh wow, look at better watch out for the Colts edge rushers. I don't remember ever feeling that way.
Yeah, we've definitely been weak at our edge rushers since Robert Mathis and Dwight Freeney. I mean, having DeForest Buckner in the middle has been great, but having it all the way down the line is going to be amazing this year. I'm hoping we can definitely stop the run a lot more this year and get to the quarterback a lot more.
Yeah, that guy you got at 15, like in most drafts, he honestly would have been like a top 5, at worst top 10 pick. But if you saw all the quarterbacks that went in the first 10 picks, happened to 15, right on his lap, like damn. Like if I was a little upset, like damn it.
Yeah, I definitely am excited for that kid. Like Latu, I think his name is. It's hard to it's like a lot of the same letters on next. I think it's Laitu Latu. That's how you pronounce it. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to see him this year for sure.
How are we feeling as far as the rest of the teams in the AFC South? Jacksonville, Tennessee. Like, is there anything that's standing out? I know.
See, what's standing out for me with Jacksonville is that nothing is standing out. I feel like
overpaying.
Nothing really changed positively or negatively for the Jaguars that makes me think that this is going to be anything different than a 9-7 season if they're lucky. I think they're going to be fighting for a playoff spot at the end. They're not a terrible team, but they just really haven't made any adjustments anywhere, and there's a lot of questions. I think they're just going to be kind of right in the middle. They're going to be the team to if you can be better than the Jaguars, you're going to be a good team. If you're worse than the Jaguars, well, good luck in the draft this year.
You're Tennessee.
Yeah, you're Tennessee.
Yeah. Honestly, when you brought that up, and I'm thinking to myself, honestly, the only thing that really stood out for the Jaguars this season, it was just overpaying Trevor Lawrence, like
and losing Calvin Ridley.
and Calvin Ridley. I think to me that overshadowed it because
I think they lost Calvin Ridley and replaced him with Gabe Davis from
the Bills. Yeah, I mean,
put up triple singles, 0-0-0 playing last year. I'm like, oh, how do you play in an offense like the Bills? How do you go out there and do nothing? Just straight cardio.
Just cardio.
Cardio. He was practicing a sign with the Jaguars. No, that's what I'm saying. Like when I saw that, when I think we all kind of talked about it a little bit when it happened, we were just like, when Trevor Lawrence got signed, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna be honest. That's a quarterback that hasn't really done much since he's been with the Jaguars, and then you sign him for that much. And at which point it's like there was an article that came out. I can't remember who did it, so I could source it, but it was like they were like it puts the Trevor Lawrence signing puts every other quarterback and team in an awkward situation because now you're paying Trevor Lawrence, a guy that really I don't think he's in anybody's top 10 list of quarterbacks. Mid at best. I don't see him like unless you're like a Jaguars fan. Like I don't see Trevor Lawrence like climbing up anybody's top 10 quarterback list, right? But if you're paying him that much, what does it say for every other quarterback that's better than he is? Like,
Lamar would have like twice the amount of money that he does.
Exactly. Dak Prescott's probably going to get super paid now because of that too.
Yeah.
CJ,
back with the Brinks truck at this point, because if I was them, if I was their agent, like, hey man, so look at this guy's numbers. It's middle of the pack or towards the end. Here's my guy who's in the top 10. Yeah, we're going to need to get some more. See the number go up a little bit more. Maybe to start with a 6 instead of a 5.
Yeah. And I think that signing puts everybody. I mean, and even Anthony Richardson for you guys. If as time goes on, as long as he's he stays consistent with watching. Like not go the route of like Lamar Jackson when he kept just run first and then throw later kind of situation. At that point, then if he's as good as you guys want him to be or need him to be. He's obviously he can elevate. He can be better than Trevor Lawrence. That puts you guys in a cap situation.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
but it's all about that rookie contract though. That's the window.
Yeah, it is. So I feel like the Trevor Lawrence signing is kind of weird because it's like one of those first signings where you're really still paying Trevor Lawrence based on the hype that he was supposed to reach coming out of the draft. That he still hasn't quite hit what anybody really expected from him, but they really think that he can.
Would it be different? Would the fan base and the NFL in general feel different if Jacksonville would have been the Chiefs on that playoff game?
I feel like they might feel a little bit differently, but I think that it also bodes well for Jacksonville how many problems have gone through Trevor Lawrence. He went through the Urban Meyer in his first year. There's been a lot of speed bumps in Trevor Lawrence's career that have given him the excuses for why he hasn't been able to reach that potential. And now I think the ball's on the Jaguars. They need to put the team around Trevor Lawrence for him to succeed. They can't do it like the Bears did Justin Fields.
The excuses does not justify the price tag.
Nope.
Yeah.
Dude, you see Mahomes winning the Super Bowl, and then he's barely the top, the 10th highest paid quarterback in the league.
Yeah, I think he's like number 9 or number 10. Like
I think he's tied at number 10. I think.
No, the funniest thing was Trevor Lawrence coming out in that press conference saying he took less money. I'm like, these motherfuckers gave you
a deal.
Fucking $20 less, motherfucker.
Yeah, like you said, I don't think the excuses don't justify it. It's like my job saying, you know what, we didn't provide you with the resources we needed. Here's another. Here's all this paycheck. Yeah,
here's a bag of money.
Here's a bag of money. Okay.
Exactly. We haven't provided you with the resources, so how about we take the money from the resources and just give it to you, and then you can continue doing what you've been doing.
The thing is, like, I feel like this is a lose situation for the fan base because the only way you justify this contract is that if Jacksonville wins it, because I don't even think a deep playoff run justifies this amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't believe it. Like if in 5 years' time we're paying CJ $500 million or whatever it is, and we do not win a Super Bowl in that second contract,
It's a failure.
I couldn't justify it.
I feel like you could kind of justify it. I think the problem for the Jaguars is the levels of success they reached in his first year, getting to those playoff games, and how far away they've been since then. If you guys pay CJ and you guys don't hit that, I mean, the consistent hitting the playoffs and battles. I mean, just like when we talk about Andrew Luck, he went 11-5 in his first 3 seasons, took us to a wild card game the first time, took us one step further every time we got there. So that, as long as you're not like the Buffalo Bills, the question they have with a lot of their team right now, we've been getting to the same spot and not being able to get past it. But if you're seeing that progression, then you can justify it. But all you're seeing is regression so far in Jacksonville.
Yeah, let's say, for example, one of the topics that we had talked about in our other show was like, what would be, the expectation for the Texans this season? What would be a failure? And I think a lot of us agreed with AFC Championship, because the Texans haven't reached the AFC Championship game. AFC Championship or bust for us. I think that would be the expectation. And not only us, really, we've had like other guests, other Houston content creators who have said the exact same thing. Yeah, honestly, this season, the only way we would see this season, barring injury, of course, barring all that, would be if the whole team is healthy. If they wouldn't reach like the AFC Championship, that we would see that as a failure at this point.
I definitely can agree with that, because I mean, even if you don't think that Houston is a top 4 team in the AFC and that they're really seriously going to compete for that bye, you think that the Texans are one of those teams that you don't want to see in that first round of the playoffs as a wild card team. So you're it's almost a foregone conclusion that Texans make the playoffs. They're in that second round. Now you just got to be better than the Joe Burrows or the Josh Allen. If you can make that one step that all these people have come so far and not been able to get past Patrick Mahomes. I mean, if you can get to Patrick Mahomes, at that point, everything else is gravy.
Yeah. And so let's take it back to you guys. Like, what would be a Colts successful season?
I think, of course, a successful season is getting to the second round of the playoffs. I mean, even more than just making a wild card or anything like that. I think anything short of making the playoffs is, I think, a failure for the Indianapolis Colts, with how many times we've been that close to the playoffs. And in the Carson Wentz year, we were the team that nobody wanted to see in the play. Like how many times we've been in that conversation in those last 3 weeks. The Colts have to be in the playoffs. I think if we can make sure we get that wild card victory. I mean, I'm not saying that the Texans don't walk us in the second round of the playoffs, or the Chiefs don't do the same thing. But if we can get to that second round and get past those Steelers and the Browns and the teams that really kind of squeaked in the playoffs and really get to those good competition games, that's really, I think, a successful season for the Indianapolis Colts right now. Yeah,
no, 100%. I wanted to go back a little bit to the weaknesses of because I know you talked about weaknesses of your team. For us, I would see our weaknesses defensively. Would be on a little bit on our defensive tackle position, but not as much.
The secondary, I would
say. But predominantly the secondary, the cornerback, the CB2 spot, because right now it's a little bit of a toss up. We've talked about it in a few other shows that we've done.
Got that rookie.
The Texans drafted Kamari Lassiter. And he was I want to say first round pick, because the Texans didn't have one, but it was it was
like the earliest pick, right?
Yeah, it was the first pick that the Texans had, I think, on day 2. Don't remember the number off the top of my head real quick, but Kamari Lassiter, and he was drafted in that position to help out that corner spot. With Kamari, from what we've seen on his film with Georgia, he's not more of like I'm going to intercept you kind of a person. It's more like I'm going to deflect the pass.
Yeah. He's going to be in your face. Like,
but he's going to stick with you. Yeah, he's going to follow you through and through. Maybe not get the interceptions, but just be the guy that gets in the way or whatever.
He's going to make your quarterback think twice about throwing it.
Yeah. One of my biggest concerns, and I think all of us might be able to agree here, is how close, being close to the receiver is good, but in the NFL, that's a penalty, that's a flag right there.
Flag, yeah.
Damn, Rios, you have that right ready for it. Do it again. The one time that the one time. Ready? There
it is.
Yeah, and so that's my only concern with that. But I mean, it's something that he's going to have to learn in his rookie season. Obviously, you can't really put the too much of a. I mean, it's like anything he does there, and you're going to be proud of it, right?
The thing is, like we're saying this now, but when we're on that second round of the playoffs against the Ravens or whoever, like it's not going to be like, oh, it's his rookie season. Let's get him the benefit of the doubt. It's gonna be like, why don't you catch the damn ball? Like, why are you listening to your
get it on
like, what the hell? Like, and that's the thing, dude. Like the way expectations shift through the season, especially for rookies, man. That's the reason why they bust as much as they do. Pause.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know, man. Like I feel like you said, the weakness is the secondary for sure. CB2.
Yeah.
But if we can be solid everywhere else, I can live with that. I can live with, if we lose to that, I can live with that. I can sleep okay at night.
Yeah, because the Raiders and the 49ers kind of give you the blueprint on how to beat because the Chiefs are the team to beat. And the way to beat them is your front four. You have a ferocious front four, you throw off Mahomes, and that gives you a chance to, be in the game and gives you a chance at the end to win the game.
It makes the CB2 the corner the secondary's job a lot easier when your front four is on it. One of the biggest strengths that the Texans have on defense right now is the acquisition of Danielle Hunter and obviously second year Will Anderson. Like if you thought Will Anderson was a big was a big deal, now you have to worry about Danielle Hunter. Like
you get it on both sides.
You double team Danielle Hunter. Well, here comes Will Anderson. You double team Will Anderson. Here comes Danielle Hunter. It's almost like pick your poison in that position. And if you're double team both of them, somebody's going to get through. You got Autry there also that the Texans got. You have Christian Harris, or you even have Desmond King, who you might even put as a how do you call it? What's that? As a spy or whatever. Like you can put them in different. D'Amico can arrange this in however he wants to do this, and all of these guys are going to play with that mentality, that dog mentality, DAWG, and like 9 exclamation marks after that. That's the type of players that D'Amico gets, and not only that, you also have Azeez Al-Shaair that the Texans signed from the Titans as well. You got Christian Harris, who's developing into a phenomenal player that D'Amico's definitely taken care of. And then another spot would be the other linebacker, Henry To'oTo'o. That's the only area, another little area of concern.
Well, he'd be a backup. Al-Shaair would be the starter.
Okay, but the thing about Al-Shaair that I like though is I think we talked about it with Sarge, right, Rios? It was the fact that he's a true Mike linebacker.
Yeah.
And so that brings a lot of good stuff to it. And I mean, D'Amico, I think he's familiar with him since San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Yeah. So that familiarity is good with it. But yeah, other than that, is really predominantly is just that CB2 spot for the Texans. Other than that, I mean that front is going to be great.
Yeah, a good front seven makes up for a weaker back four. So as long as they're solid with the front seven, this should be okay.
Yeah,
I'm excited to watch this team, dude. And speaking of that, like what like we've already gone through our schedule. We've talked about the games that we want to watch, that we're excited to. Mine is definitely like that Texans-Lions game.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be lights out.
Mine's the Cowboys one.
The Cowboys ones too.
Yeah.
We're going to walk them. Walk circles around them. What about the Colts, Dallas? Like, is there any game that you're like, oh, this is a must watch for me?
Of course, the Colts Broncos game. They're coming to Denver. I'm gonna see if I can't get out there. But Colts Patriots, man, I feel like with how crazy that rivalry was when I was growing up, we've only played the Patriots a couple of times, and most of the times that we played them in recent memory, we've ended up on the better end of that. So that Colts Patriots game is definitely going to be a big one for me. Of course, our divisional games are going to be pretty rock solid to go through as well. But I really think mostly the December games is really where I'm the most excited. Like I said, that Patriots games, that Broncos game, And then I am also excited to see that Steelers game in early September. I feel like we always end up having good battles with the Steelers. Yeah. So I definitely think there's a couple there. The Jets one I am afraid of a little bit, man. I don't know. Like there's something with the Jets, man. I mean, ever since that Super Bowl we lost to them, in the first 5 Super Bowls we lost to them, and I mean Mark Sanchez knocked the damn Colts out the playoffs one time, and the Jets I don't know, man. I'm definitely nervous about that one just because they always have our number.
And if they get a healthy Rodgers,
for real, man,
it's gonna be scary. It's gonna be scary.
The Jets have. I mean, we've talked about this. The Jets have a pretty solid team. Like I feel like they have a little underrated team.
Yeah,
like if Rodgers would have been healthy last year, dude, I have no idea what the Jets would have done in the playoffs. Like it would have been scary.
Yeah.
Well, not in the playoffs. We've seen Aaron Rodgers fail year after year for almost 2 decades
in Green Bay. At Green Bay, but the Jets, I don't know, man. It's a fun little team they have going on over there, defensively and offensively.
He had some pretty good teams in Green Bay. Some of those losses were on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking. You say like he didn't win a Super Bowl ever.
Well, I'm talking about after 2009, he's struggled mightily in the playoffs year after year, even being the number 1 seed.
Well, yeah, because after 2009, it was all about Brady and those 2 years of Eli.
Peyton Manning.
Yeah. Well, he didn't even make it to the Super Bowl. He was losing to guys like Eli.
The Eli beat Brady.
Eli, Garoppolo.
Nice.
This was in the back.
The Garoppolo thing. We don't talk about that.
Wow.
I don't know, man. I feel like with a healthy Rodgers, I feel like people are gonna be sleeping on the Jets. Like they're gonna be scary.
They can potentially be a threat. I could see that. They could be a dark horse team if everything clicks right for them. I mean, I hate to say because a lot of the teams that we've talked about on paper they sound pretty decent.
Except Tennessee sucks. On paper, on the field.
Which takes me to this point. All right, let's talk about our teams in the AFC South. Like, let's rank these teams. So, Dallas, we'll let you have the last word since you're the guest. What is your ranking in the team? So, I'm gonna start out first, and then we're gonna go to Rios, Poppy, and of course, the man with the beautiful hair, Dallas. So for me, I'm gonna say the Texans, Colts, Jags, Tennessee. That's my order on the AFC South division. Rios.
I think me and Bob are gonna have the same list.
Oh yeah.
What you got?
Yeah, same as Carlos. Houston at 1, Indy at 2, Jacksonville at 3, and Tennessee at 4.
Okay, so I'm gonna switch it up slightly.
He's indifferent. Always got to be different.
I'm very much indifferent. So I believe Texas win. Runaway winners. I'm not fully ready to count out Jacksonville just yet. And there's a lot of question marks with Indiana, especially with AR, because we know that AR is good, but can he be good for 17 games?
Okay.
So I'm gonna keep him at 3, but I'm not gonna be. I wouldn't be surprised if Jacksonville sheds the bed and Indiana is actually like not just solid on paper, but like on the field as well. And going back to last year, like the Texans looked okay on paper, but I wanted to see it on the field, and they deliver. I don't see why Indiana couldn't do the same. And then Tennessee just sucks, but Tennessee is just so bad. Imagine being a Tennessee fan right now.
Cosplaying as the Oilers and getting dog walked by Case Keenum.
Yeah,
oh, man.
That was fun.
In their own stadium.
So what about you, Dallas? What's your ranking?
So I pretty much agree with all 3 of you. I definitely I'm gonna end up saying the Houston, Indy, Jacksonville, Tennessee, but I agree with Poppy in a way because I feel like at the when all is said and done, Indy and Jacksonville are going to be competing for that. Like, I mean, we might even mess around and tie at the end of the year, and it's going to come down to that wild card spot. I definitely think one of Indianapolis or Jacksonville gets that wild card spot. Me personally, besides being a Colts fan, what makes me lean towards the Colts getting that spot is the Colts have that excitement. The Jaguars, we've seen them get there and we've seen them crumble, and they've only gotten worse since then. You've seen the Colts just get better. You've seen the Texans just get better. I think the Texans, we all know the Texans make it this year unless a hurricane takes your whole stadium out with the players at practice. But
if that happens, we'll win the World Series at the very least.
But I think that the Colts, I mean, especially you're looking at how exciting, like we were talking about at the beginning of the game, how exciting the Colts games were getting at the beginning of the year, behind finally a franchise quarterback, having all the pieces kind of together on the offensive side of the ball since Peyton Manning has left the building. I think the Colts are going to be a team that definitely can make the playoffs. And it's going to be one of those exciting things to see. I think the Jaguars, they get there, they're going to be what the Steelers and the Browns have been in the past few times. They're going to make it. They might embarrass the whole AFC South. So I think at the end of the day, it's going to be Houston is going to make it, I think, with around 12 wins. I think the Colts and Jaguars are going to be fighting for 10. I think if the Colts can get 10, the Jaguars get 9. That's how we're going to get that. Colts make it easily. If not, the Colts are going to have to do it the hard way by winning the series out. And I think that Tennessee is going to struggle to get 6 wins this year.
Yeah, I think so too. Honestly, I don't have much expectation for Tennessee. I want to see
what the over/under is for wins for them.
Yeah, I mean they got Snead in as a corner. I mean, if
it's 5.5, I'm betting the under.
Yeah,
if it's 5.5, I'm betting the under definitely.
Yeah.
Unless Will Levis just goes on a tear.
Looks like the over/under is 6.5 as of June 6th.
6.5? Definitely the under.
Taking the under.
Definitely the under.
Yeah, they went 6-11 last season. I think they're going to have a fairly similar year this year.
Yeah,
I can see it.
I feel like a lot of teams got better.
I think so too.
They did. I mean, honestly. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't. I mean, what do they get? They got Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, and Tony Pollard, right? Tennessee.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if any of those guys really strike me as top playmakers.
They don't really game
changers. Especially Tony Pollard. What he did with Dallas last season. Now, I didn't see much. I really thought he was going to be the future back for Dallas after Zeke, and that didn't pan out well. Calvin Ridley, I mean, you saw what happened last season with the Jaguars. I don't think it was his best season at all. In his career.
Maybe what these guys need is just change the scenery.
Right, but
why would you want to go to Tennessee? Beyond me. But
for Pollard, because he struggled with a good offensive line in Dallas, and he's going to Tennessee, who has one of the worst lines in the league. Like,
you would have to be
Tony Pollard, no Ezekiel Elliott, and he damn sure is no Derrick Henry.
Yeah, and if that's your primary down back, like after that, now you're just putting the pressure back on Will Levis, and I mean Will Levis, I don't see him as a top quarterback.
I think they have some interesting fantasy football options, but on the real football field, I'm not really excited about the Titans.
As far as it comes, like as far as wins go, it's gonna be a tough season to be a Titans.
Yeah,
we've seen him under pressure. Crumbles like a cookie.
I don't think Sam's gonna make many coffee bets this year.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun one. If y'all didn't see that one, that was a good one. We made a
I wonder if he would bet the over though. I wonder if he would bet the over on 6.5.
We'll have to ask that.
Yeah,
we will have to schedule like a special edition because he records I think today on Mondays.
I believe
so. We'll have to schedule an edition where it's just AFC South talk. Yeah. Somewhere along the lines, we're gonna have to find a Jaguars fan.
Yeah,
somewhere we're gonna have to find a Jaguars fan, just like shit on them, whatever, and see what they think or whatever. But they have a completely full AFC South stuff. But nonetheless, no, this is good productive for me. I think for you guys, I think it could be Texans Colts for the next few years as a rivalry.
Yeah.
I think that the maturity of I'm not saying he's immature, but I think his growth and development of Anthony Richardson is definitely going to be a key to the X factor because he's got to protect himself. And I get it. I'm assuming it's like that adrenaline rush, like, oh, I'm not going to see it. It's, because Michael Vick did all the time. We were spoiled seeing Michael Vick play on the field.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I was a kid, I used to see Michael Vick all the time, and it was amazing.
God damn, you're old. No,
Thank you. Back in my day.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You think that's Randall Cunningham?
You prehistoric bitch.
Who?
No, anyway. No. No, but that's what I'm saying. Like I get I grew up watching Michael Vick and the Atlanta Falcons just like tear it up. And so obviously he inspired a lot of like this new generation of quarterbacks to do the exact same things, the fluid quarterbacks, the ones that can run. And so Anthony Richardson just kind of like, I feel like if he's able to control that, if he's able to like stay in the pocket and actually
make better decisions, right? If he can,
better decision making.
The sky's the limit for that.
Because what I did like about you guys, the thing is what you do with a quarterback, you have to surround him with weapons. The Texans have done that with CJ.
Yeah.
With you guys, you told me you added I'm sorry, who was your receiver that you guys drafted?
Adonai Mitchell, we added in this draft.
Yeah, and then you got Michael Pittman. And don't get me wrong, I don't see Michael Pittman being like a top elite wide receiver, but he is consistent.
We didn't see. Well, I didn't think Nico Collins was going to be top.
You did, yeah. But you never know. They might surprise you.
Yeah.
Another year with this system. I mean, you never know how far they could take it. But I think it all. This is my outsider's perspective. I think as long as Anthony Richardson is going to be your X factor, if he can make better decisions, I think you guys are definitely. It's going to be Texans Colts how it should be. Back and forth in the division.
I mean, you already saw them right. They were already right in the storyline last year when we had that flex Sunday night football game. You're looking at what the second pick and the fourth pick in the draft is. I mean, they were both top 5 picks in the draft, playing in the same division. It's going to be a battle for these two young men for years to come.
Yeah, and I'm all in for it. I'd like to see that.
Definitely fun times, and it'd be fun seeing long-haired Daniel Jones in third place.
Oh yeah.
Oh, come on, man. Come on. He got the bag.
Like, you're the highest paid quarterback, and all the comps to you are Daniel Jones, the Sam Howells, the Gardner Minshews of the world. Like,
watch him cook this year.
Watch
him absolutely cook.
Hot dog water?
All right.
Hey, man. Hey, Dallas, I want to thank you, bro, for coming and hang out with us. This was a lot of fun. We're definitely going to have to talk again right before Texans Colts game, both of them that week.
Week 1, I think, right?
Week one,
yeah. So we're definitely doing that, and then obviously before that we'll talk again and do like an AFC South thing with Sam. Yeah. And somewhere along the lines we have to find a Jaguars fan. They exist, right? Man.
One that's not an asshole, because the ones that they're losing a hard part. So.
No, yeah. All right, man. All right, Dallas.
Support the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, guys. So do me a favor. Dallas over here, he does a hell of a job. Dallas, what do you have coming up? Just so that our viewers can.
So right now we got, of course, the fantasy football drafts are all coming around the corner. So I'm getting you all ready for your fantasy football drafts. I did all the early rankings, and I'm starting something new this year. I'm calling it the Rookie Playbook, where I'm helping people that may not understand how to play fantasy football, that it might be their first or second year, you know what I'm saying, feel a little bit better, more comfortable going into their drafts, going into their season. So really just getting you prepared for that week 1 when you set your fantasy football lineup and try to help you hoist the trophy over those other idiots in your fantasy league.
There you go.
Look at Dallas doing God's work.
Doing God's work. There you go. So yeah, so follow Dallas on his X account at the Huddle Chat, just like you see it right here. Give him a follow. You will not regret it. Great content that he puts out. And of course, give him a like and subscribe on his YouTube channel at the Huddle Chat Sports, just like you see it there. Subscribe to that channel. Again, like he said, he's going to help you out with that fantasy football. If you're like a starter, or hell, even if you're an expert,
money. He's gonna win you some money.
That's what I'm saying. Win the money, win the trophy, whatever it is. Veteran, rookie, everybody alike. Everybody needs some information on fantasy season.
Exactly. And of course, if you liked our content, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are actually only 2 away from the big 600, so subscribe to us at JustFans22 on our YouTube channel again, and of course follow us on our Instagram account at JustFansPod and our X at in our X account, Just Fans 22. And that's going to be it. Oh, and last but not least, we do have another channel that we do our Texans and NFL talk as well, but a little bit more professional, which is weird coming from us three. So if you want to see that, check us out at our Bring on the Blitz podcast at B Blitz Pod. That's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. Our X account, of course, is going to be at B Blitz Pod as well. And of course, this is all part of the Our Esquina Podcast Network, which you can follow them up on their Instagram account at Our Esquina, just like that, and their X account at Our Esquina as well. Dallas, we want to thank you, man, for joining us today.
Thank you guys,
it's always
man.
a pleasure. Great to talk trash about the Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Amazing. All right, man. Hey, man. Great stuff. Don't go just yet. I'm just gonna end the show, okay? But other than that, see y'all next Monday. Peace.
Fuck the Saints.
Southwest A-League, Texas, throw down here and it's so infectious. We ride for the Houston Astros, Rockets, Dynamo, and them Texans. If you ain't never been down here, but rule number one, you gon' respect us. Just fans in my speakers, new one drop, they bout to bless us. I might right through the SWAT, playing just fans right through your spot. Look, and I don't know what you thought, but right here, dog, we gon' rep the squad. Got